right, we've got a lot of hot clean tech news to share this week for our new sort of return to a YouTube news show. We really have one of the highest concentrations around a topic I've seen in a while, I think, and that's centered around China EVs, Chinese electric vehicles, and that's going to be the heavy theme of the show today for sure. But there will also be some other stories, no doubt. So let's get into it and share a screen to kind of to look at this stuff together. So we've got our latest China EV sales report, this thorough report from Jose Pontes. Absolutely stunning. You know what is happening in China. They're now at 53% of sales being plug-in vehicles. 10 out of the top 20 are BYD vehicles, which is astounding. And so BEVs still have more than plug-in vehicle sales, but there are a lot of plug-in hybrids. I mean, plug-in hybrid sales. There are a lot of plug-in hybrids sold there as well. They typically have large batteries and large range. But yeah, it's BEVs alone, though, accounted for 30% of the country's auto sales. So even if you take the plug-in hybrids out, almost 1 out of every 3 new auto sales in China are BEVs. So astounding. This feeds into a story I did on how Chinese electric cars are really leaving the U.S. in the dust. And this was already a kind of bringing together of stories, so this will cover a lot of stuff here. BYD, just absolutely insane growth, as we're seeing day after day from the company. It reached 500,000 sales last month, which is astounding. If you put that into some, U.S. Tesla worldwide context, Tesla is aiming for 500,000 sales in the quarter. So, yep, that's pretty wild. The company also just reached 10 million cumulative plug-in vehicle sales after 15 years of producing plug-in vehicles. And if it is going on that 500,000 sales a month track, it would just take 18 months to do another 10 million. The company, as one of our readers, Larry Evans, has pointed out, has 110,000 R&D engineers, 900,000 total employees. It's more vertically integrated than Tesla. It launched about 10 new models this past year. It's entering new markets every week: Ethiopia, Paraguay, etc., etc. It grew its production capacity in 1 quarter. The growth in its production capacity alone was as much as Tesla's total production capacity. It's just outstanding. I mean, yeah. We have a report here where I created charts for their monthly sales in the first 10 months of the year, and last year compared as well. And you can just see the stunning growth, 36.5% growth in 2024. And just launched a new model for $49,000 under its Denza brand, BYD Denza Z9. And I mean, look at the thing. Inside and out, it is an amazing vehicle. Massaging, reclining, heating and cooling chairs, seats, screens for passengers in the back, as well as the front. A lot of space, excellent design. It's the Chinese automakers are running away with the auto industry, and so BYD is leading that. But you also have NIO and XPeng keep expanding. Latest news: they expanded into Azerbaijan and Nepal. You've got Zeekr's got strong sales, and another story this week was that Zeekr just bought out Link.Co to consolidate their presence under the Geely brand in that market segment, and then you've got Xiaomi, which is the number 2 smartphone producer in the world, and has started producing electric cars this year. Its first electric car, the SU7, is already topping its sales charts, best-selling sedan in the mid-full-size electric sedan category, well above the BYD Han. Number one best-selling sedan among emerging brand sedans, about double the Xpeng Mona MO3, which is a very hot, popular car that could bring Xpeng to profitability. Xiaomi was actually an early investor in Xpeng, and it's already getting approximately 20% of its revenue from the electric car business, and has gross profit margin of 17% on this brand new segment of its business. So it's, I mean, didn't really see a competitor coming along for BYD, but man, this is a company to watch. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And then you've got also the Chinese company Chery had announced that it's gonna build a 1 gigawatt hour factory for solid state batteries that it's developed, which is not the company you might have thought would do that, but that's what it's doing. But we had an interesting footnote from a reader, Amos Bato, who noted that these are not the 400 watt hour per kilogram solid state batteries that we might have expected or thought they would be. They're actually going to be 280 it should be watt hours per kilogram to start, and that's well below the target, even well below what they initially said was 340 watt hours per kilogram. So there's a lot of room for improvement. This is not the revolutionary solid state batteries yet that we've heard about for the past decade, but the fact that they're going into mass production, could mean that we see them getting there before too long. Honda also is reportedly building its own solid state batteries, so something to watch. We'll see about that. We have a story on how slow level 1 EV charging should get a lot more love and a lot more funding and attention. I interviewed Philip Kobernick from California about this recently, and he was a big proponent of this, pushed this very hard, that you can get a lot more charging infrastructure in place for people in apartment complexes or even shopping centers if you're doing level 1 charging instead of level 2. It's just that much more cost effective, and given the amount that cars are parked, that's all that's really typically needed. We have had some comments that this is not adequate in very cold climates, which Philip and I, neither of us are in. I live in Florida, he lives in California. So yeah, you have to take into consideration the local climate and environment. But when you can get 4 to 7 times more charging capability, it's something a lot of places should look into. Scott Cooney and I had a long video chat on what happens now after Trump's election with clean energy EVs and the U.S. economy, with the U.S. Really taking a sharp turn away from what was an enormous manufacturing and reshoring presidency, the biggest we've ever seen in the U.S. under Biden. It's really, he passed the largest manufacturing legislation in the history of the country. We've got $1 trillion private investment channeling through because of these the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and the CHIPS and Science Act. And the good news is a lot of that's going to keep going forward no matter what. We'll see what Republicans try to repeal or cancel. But overall, there's a long discussion there on that, so I don't need to talk about it again. You can listen to Scott and I talk about that stuff on that show. Tesla entering the Philippines, got a store set up there, service center, and we have some insight, some on the ground reporting from Raymond Tribdino about how many sales have occurred already, how many reservations are in, And there's also talk of Tesla nickel mining in the Philippines, and also there's some rumoring of Elon Musk building some mansion on the coast or something. But Raymond advises that we not jump to believing every rumor we hear on the internet without some real proof. David Waterworth continues his reporting on what's happening down under with electric vehicles, and one of the big stories now is the BYD Shark electric truck, or Ute as they call it, is a hot new vehicle down south that is expected to really disrupt the Ute or truck market in Australia. Very compelling, attractive, competitive vehicle. I'm curious how much that will add to BYD's sales as it ramps up globally. Hyundai announced the new IONIQ 9, or kind of showed the first pictures of it. It is a very innovative. I'm sure it's going to win some awards for innovation and design, but overall it continues Hyundai's great track record producing very competitive, compelling electric cars that just have a balance of everything: tech, quality, and budget. You get the interesting interior where you can actually turn the seats, the middle row seats, to face backwards, so you can create a kind of lounge-like environment there, which is super cool when not driving. And it doesn't match the kind of crazy concept interiors we saw for a few years about this vehicle, but it is still something you're not getting in other options, right? But yeah, the ID Buzz is another one of those interesting, innovative, unique vehicles. And it's on the list. Jose Pontes did a series of the best value for money EVs you can get in Europe. The ID Buzz Pro and the Maxus MIFA 9 were two in the MPV or minivan category that he highlighted. There's also the E-segment. I'm not going to go through all of these cars because really you should check out all the articles, but you got the E-segment, D-segment, C-segment, and B and A segment. But basically, you if you're not a European, I think you will get a little bit like, oh my gosh, there's so many great electric vehicles that we don't even have in the US or some other markets. But overall, it's a really fascinating series, really great look at the best value for money EVs in Europe, depending on what class you're looking at. CATL, the famous world-leading Chinese EV battery company, continues to move forward with its innovations. It's now going to produce its second-generation sodium-ion batteries next year. Big potential cost and technological innovation driver here. Even more significantly, perhaps, it's ramping up grid storage battery solutions, and also developing an EV platform that it aims to make a really easy plug and play or easy base option for anyone wanting to launch new EV models or even new EV brands, EV companies. Aims to just make it really easy to build, produce electric vehicles by offering this base platform, and then you put your design on top. I don't know how well this will work, but I mean, CATL or CATL has had a lot of success in the past 5 years and seems to do well at everything it does. So I expect this could be a big, potentially even revolutionary product. Interestingly, at the end of that long article Steve had, there were some comments where the founder of CATL basically burned Elon Musk, saying he doesn't understand battery chemistry. He told Musk his 4680 battery plans were going to fail and never be successful. He said he showed Elon Musk this and Musk was silent. It's really I was not expecting to see something like this. This is really an unusual kind of talk from any corporate CEO or executives, but especially Chinese ones. And that led to some comments, and then me realizing this is probably a lot more. There's probably a lot more to this than we're thinking at first, because it's the way China operates with Xi Jinping running the show, and even the most powerful like Jack Ma kind of tech or business billionaires and geniuses can get basically, well, they're under his direction, you might say. And CATL, heavily backed by the Chinese government, you might say this is kind of a warning shot to Musk and by association Trump a little bit, to not mess around, or else Tesla could pay some prices in China, where half of its global production occurs. That's where I'm leaning with this. I think it's beyond him out of the blue talking about battery chemistry and Tesla's approach to it. I think this is a kind of warning shot of, hey, F around and find out if you're going to mess with China while being a top associate and consultant and advisor to Donald Trump. I think this is a big risk for Tesla, and one that I presume Elon Musk will take seriously, but who knows. Another fun story out of Thailand: the first autonomous air taxi trial occurred there. EHang, which we've been reporting on for 9 years, had its EH216S aircraft, first autonomous electric aircraft in the world, do some pilot-free test flights in Thailand, Bangkok, and so they're planning to have autonomous electric air taxis rolling there before too long. Bluetti and UN Habitat forged a nice partnership to help promote and bring more clean energy and sustainable development across Africa. Bluetti is a top company providing clean energy storage solutions. I have a big Bluetti system here in my house for when we go through a hurricane. It's good technology, and just looking to make more of a difference in Africa with this technology transfer partnership. Big thing in the U.S., Donald Trump might kill EV incentives and solar power incentives for homeowners. The $7,500 tax credit for electric vehicles might be on the chopping block. It's supposed to be, if they follow through with what they said they were going to do. So whether you want solar, heat pumps, electric car, you better try to get that done by the end of the year, in case they pull the plug in early 2025 and there's no more financial incentives on that for consumers. One sort of outside the box here, Kia and DHL have partnered on some big EV plans to use more electric delivery vehicles in the DHL network, specifically from Kia. Around here, I see Rivian, Amazon delivery vehicles constantly. Walmart uses some Ford EVs for deliveries. It's one of the most sensible things to use EVs for, because you cut costs. There's a lot of driving, but in a limited stop and go city traffic environment often, and that's kind of perfect for cutting for long-term cutting of costs, total cost of ownership. And Kia looks to help DHL with that. And then we've got Rivian and Volkswagen working together to try to help both companies move forward. But yeah, there's a lot going on at those companies. We need to see how they go. Rivian still needs funding to get profitability. Volkswagen still needs better technology. Maybe together, everything will work out perfectly. One can hope. One can dream. So that's it. That's the kind of the news wrap. The Cleantech news highlights of the week. If you feel like any big ones were missed, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and we'll see if maybe we can squeeze them into next week's show, or others looking at the comments can check those out. Thank you very much. And next week is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., but we work every day all year here at Cleantechnica. We're a news organization, so we'll still be on and pushing out content, including on YouTube. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.